Right, so according to Mark Gurman, there are a whopping 9 new M2 Macs in testing as we speak. And so let's delve into which Macs these are, but first, make sure to like and subscribe for the latest Apple news and rumours. And with that being said, let's just tuck in. Right, so Mark Gurman is a very credible source, and so yes, we can trust the info. So yes, according to developer logs that Gurman got a hold of, there are 9 new Macs in testing right now with different variants of the M2 chip. So yeah, let's delve into them one by one and the tidbits we know about these Macs. So the first one is the big Mac release for this year, which is the MacBook Air with the M2 chip. This is going to be a massive refresh with a new design that's going to be inspired by the 24-inch iMac. We're also going to see mini LED, the notch, also the better webcam and the speakers, and also mics from the MacBook Pros, and also last but not least the M2 chip. Now, of course, we are expecting this MacBook Air to launch at WWDC at the very earliest, and so yes, I'm not surprised, Apple's already testing this machine internally. And by the way, like every other source has told us, these developer logs also show the M2 chip has an 8-core CPU and a 10-core GPU, so yes, the main upgrades are going to be in the GPU department. And of course, the individual cores are based on the A15 chip, which is a slight improvement over the A14 cores in the M1 chip. Anyways, let's now move on to the Mac Mini. This is another refresh we're expecting to launch relatively soon, and we have developer logs for both an M2 and M2 Pro version. Now, to be honest, I'm not expecting the M2 Pro version to launch anytime soon. I think the focus for this year is going to be with the base M2 chips, but of course, Apple does still have an Intel Space Gray Mac Mini in the range, and that needs to be replaced, and so I'm assuming that's why an M2 Pro version is in the works. Now, in terms of rumours we've heard about this, we're going to see a new design with plexiglass on the top. That's going to allow for better Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, and also on top of that, we're going to get the power connector from the iMac. But I think the big upgrade is the fact we could see extra I/O controllers with the M2 chip, which allows Apple to give us 4 USB-C ports on the base Mac Mini variant. And yeah, much like the MacBook Air, this has also been rumoured to launch at WWDC. Now, the final potential release at WWDC is the M2 MacBook Pro, which is again found in these developer logs. This is going to be a pretty basic refresh. It's going to be the current 13-inch design with the same touchspan thick bezels, but instead of the M1 chip, we're going to get the M2 chip instead. Now, I've expressed my confusion for this Mac in the past, but yeah, I don't think this Mac makes any sense, especially when the MacBook Air is getting a massive redesign. But there have been theories that maybe this is rebranded as a base MacBook, since we're sure the MacBook Air is going to see a price hike, and so the $999 spot could be taken up by this MacBook. And yes, in that instance, these leaks could make sense. But for those wanting a refresh to the higher end Macs, we do also have developer logs showcasing that. So yes, Apple is working on a 14-inch and 16-inch MacBook Pro with the M2 Pro and M2 Max. So in case you're wondering, the M2 Pro and the M2 Max is going to get a 12-core CPU, that's 2 more cores over the M1 variants, and we could see up to 38 GPU cores alongside 64 gigs of RAM. So yes, pretty similar specs to the current M1 variants, and to be honest, I'm not expecting these to be massive refreshes. I'm expecting the same design, pretty much the same features, the only change is going to be the chip. And release date wise, there's been rumours we're going to see this at the beginning of 2023, so maybe at the March event. Now, the final Mac in the developer logs is really the last step to the transition, which is the Mac Pro with Apple Silicon. So there have been some murmurs that we could see this at WWDC, and this rumour does kind of suggest that. So the log says we could see a Mac Pro with a successor to the M1 Ultra chip we saw in the Mac Studio. Now yes, I know many are going to point out that Apple made it clear the M1 Ultra was the last chip in the M1 lineup. Now yes, that is true, but of course, Apple could give us a completely different name for the Mac Pro chip that sets it apart from the regular M series. So maybe the chip itself is called X1, but of course, internally it's still very much based on the M1 Ultra chip. And when I say based, it's literally going to be two M1 Ultras put together to give us some pretty insane performance. In fact, I would not be surprised if the Mac Pro is literally a taller version of the Mac Studio. But anyways, since this is based on the M1 Ultra chip, there is a chance we could see this at WWDC. And while since Apple did say that they should be over with the transition within 2 years, at WWDC 2020 that does make me think there is a very good chance we could see this Mac Pro launch relatively soon. And yeah, since there's been murmurs about new displays launching at WWDC, I can see a Mac Pro pairing with those pretty nicely. So those are all the Macs in the developer logs. Now Gurman does say there's one more Mac that's been tested, a Mac Mini with the M1 Max chip, but that's likely to be scrapped since we do have the Mac Studio now with the M1 Max chip, and so releasing another desktop with the same chip would be pretty pointless. But yes, Gurman says internal testing is a key step in the development process, and so we should see these Macs in the coming months. But guys, tell me in the comments below which of these Macs do you look forward to seeing? Anyways, thank you for watching guys, make sure to like and subscribe for the latest Apple news and rumours. Check out the link above on details regarding the iPhone 14 series, and on that note I'll see you guys in the next one. See ya peeps!